Massive news dump for you, New Orleans Saints fans. That's why Tushy is sponsoring today's show. But we got great news around Chris Olave. We do have a bad update on Alvin Kamara. We're going to discuss Derek Carr. He wants to return soon. And Darren Rizzi, he named a QB1 for Monday Night Football against the Green Bay Packers. There's some good. There's some bad. It's the best of times. It's the worst of times. The best of news, the worst of news. Not really. We just got some good and some bad news that we got to discuss. Either way, there is a lot to dive into. So this is why you subscribe to the channel. We're less than 500 subs away from getting to 40,000 members of our Golden Gang. So hit that sub button for free Saints updates. Now, great news around Chris Olave. Like I mentioned off the top of this show, he was actually cleared by a concussion specialist on Tuesday, and he is now available and able to resume practicing. This is really, really good news for the Saints wide receiver one and for an offense that, quite frankly, has been missing Chris Olave a lot ever since Week 9 when he suffered that injury against the Carolina Panthers. It was actually his second concussion of the season. If you remember earlier in the year, he suffered one, and then, a few weeks later, gets another concussion. And Darren Rizzi, he did state in his media availability today on Thursday, December 19th, that they actually opened up Chris Olave's 21-day window. So he has 21 days to return to full game action, and, life's good for that. And on top of that, he was limited at practice on Thursday. So normally, the practice goes Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for getting the injury report and stuff. But since the Saints are playing on Monday Night Football, it'll be Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So that's why we got the injury update today, not yesterday. But he was limited at practice today, which is really, really good news, all things considered. And when you look at who the current wide receivers are in the depth chart for New Orleans, it's really nothing that is inspiring. Marquez Valdes-Scantling has been massively impactful and has been extremely electric. But I do want to give a lot of credit to Kevin Austin Jr. for making the most out of this situation. He has been really good, and he's turned out to be a somewhat reliable receiver. And I think that he's done enough to earn himself a spot back in New Orleans next year. Dante Pettis as well has been pretty impressive in the run that he's gotten, especially as a return man. And I do think when it comes down to it, this is the wide receiver group you got to roll with. I don't think that you need to bring back Chris Olave this season. And as fun as it would be, why? Why? And I'm not sitting here saying that we need to force him to get back on the field because you have the playoffs that are right in the grasp and you just got to reach out and take it. No, that's not the case here. And so for Chris Olave, I would rather him stick around and continue to practice, continue to be around the team, continue to get that work and whatnot. But I don't need him going on the field and risking another injury right before the end of the season. And sure, something happens, you have the offseason to recover, but I'm not playing games with head injuries. I'm not really in the camp of try and get Chris Olave back on the field. There's really no point. And plus, I want him to be not 100%, but 150% ready to roll next season. So I think ultimately this is all really, really good news. We should be celebrating this, but we should not be expecting Chris Olave to be back on the field. But let's get in the comment section. Let's show some love to Big Play Olave. Type his jersey number 12 to show your support for Big Play Olave down in the comment section. All right, like I mentioned, we got some great news on Chris Olave. So coming up, we got some bad news on Alvin Kamara. And that bad news, it's that the groin injury is actually significant. It's more significant than initially expected. And originally, Darren Rizzi was saying that, it's really not that big of a deal. Just shouldn't be too concerned about it. We're learning a lot about Rizzi. He likes to keep his cards close to his chest, which is a good thing to do as a head coach. But unfortunately for Kamara, he may or may not even return this season. It is not guaranteed that he will be able to return to game action, which makes it absolutely terrible because when it comes down to, Adam Schefter reporting this, he's saying this, and I don't think Adam Schefter has all of the sources and all of the insight inside the walls for New Orleans, and I think when it comes down to this situation, it's better to get it from a local level, not from the national guys who cover every single team. But he is considered week to week right now. And Darren Rizzi, again, in media availability today, he laid out a lot of information. So if you want to go get everything that he said, go watch it on YouTube. The Saints YouTube channel posted it after you watch this video. But Darren Rizzi saying that he does not look great to return this week. So that's not really good news in my personal opinion. And honestly, it sucks. It's just terrible. Alvin Kamara, one of the greatest running backs in franchise history, one of the most electric and unique and talented football players in the league. Unfortunately, he's 50 yards away from his first ever 1,000-yard rushing season, and we may not see him get to achieve that. But I do think that that's the plan. I do think that we will see Alvin Kamara this season. I don't think that he's out for the year. I think that it's a possibility, but Darren Rizzi added some really good context, and he was asked by media and by the Saints beat writers, hey, like, doesn't this suck? Like, aren't we trying to get Alvin Kamara's 50 yards? Is there any way that's going to happen? And he said, no one wants him to get it more than me. But at the same time, we're certainly going to do the right thing by Alvin Kamara. I know it's a goal he wants to accomplish. It's a goal I want him to accomplish. Hopefully, we get him back. We get him back here towards the end, and we can get him that goal. And, to be totally honest, if I'm Darren Rizzi, if I'm the one calling the shots here, I'm saying, Alvin Kamara, you rest this week. There's no reason for you to go out and play in the cold against a tough team that's fighting for the first overall spot in the NFC still. Like, I just don't think that is a good week to try and get Kamara back in there. And he's been dealing with a groin injury, in case you guys didn't know. And I think when you let him sit this week, the Raiders, who are a really bad football team, the worst football team in sports right now, I think that that's an easy thing to do. I really do believe you should be able to get Alvin Kamara 50 yards against the Raiders at home, in front of the Dome, in front of the Saints fans. That's how it should go down, to be totally honest. And I just think that there's no reason to believe that it can't happen. I mean, Alvin Kamara intends to get back on the field before the season's over. Like, he wants to go and make this happen. He knows how close he is. He's not going to just sit there by the wayside and let this season go to waste and be that close to it. He hasn't thrown in the towel quite yet, and that's something I love about Alvin Kamara. I will tell you this, if he cannot play against the Green Bay Packers, which he will likely not play, you go and sign him, or not sign him, you go and give him the opportunity against the Raiders and against the Buccaneers in the final 2 weeks. But this right here is a big opportunity for Kendre Miller, because I think that when it comes down to the offensive game plan, you should not expect a lot of run from Jamal Williams. I think it's going to be the Kendre Miller show. And when you consider all of the things with the injuries, with the weather, with the matchup, the stakes of what you have at your season and what you have in the future, this is an important and really, really good chance for the New Orleans Saints to learn a lot about Kendre Miller. Now, coming up next, we got to talk about Derek Carr. We have to talk about the quarterback room, because those are very important updates to discuss, and there's a lot to talk about in those. But really quick, the holidays, they're right here, ladies and gentlemen, and I know that you guys are scrambling for a last-second gift. And if you want something that's really, really not crappy, hey, go check out the Tushy Bidets. In a household full of holiday guests, it's a beautiful thing. But that's until you realize every one of those guests is endlessly wiping in your bathroom. So give your toilet a fighting chance by installing a Tushy Bidet. At home, I love my Tushy, and it took me less than 10 minutes to install. And I'm not somebody who knows a ton about plumbing and all that. I just kind of follow the directions. It was easy peasy lemon squeezy. And hey, now my hiney is staying shiny thanks to Tushy Bidets. It's so easy. You just turn this little knob. You get a nice refreshing stream of water, cleaning up your bits and pieces. And, I got to just say this. It really is a game changer. And like I said, it's so easy to use. And if you do make the switch over to Tushy, people who have made the switch use up to 80% less toilet paper. So no more clogged toilets, and you can save your money and your ass at the same time. So give the gift of practical luxury this holiday season, and get your friend or your family member or yourself a Tushy Bidet. Go to hellotushy.com/chat right now to grab your deal before it's gone. And don't forget to give us a shout out while you're there, and let them know that Saints Now by Chat Sports sent you. Go to hellotushy.com/chat for the best gift this holiday season. It's listed in the comments. It's in the description of this video. Just click the link and get started today. Alrighty, let's talk about maybe not a crappy situation. Derek Carr, he wants to play. He wants to get back on the field. And, before I even get fully into all of this QB spiel, I want to just say, first things first, a lot of credit. And you got to give him a lot of props to Derek Carr. You have to give Derek Carr his props, because one thing about him you cannot question, He's a tough son of a bitch. He's going to go out there and he's going to play football if he can. He loves the game of football. He likes to be on the field. And I just got to say, I admire it. I give him a lot of credit for it. This season is totally over. He has no reason to try and go out there and win games, but he wants to. Like, that's something that you got to give him a lot of credit for. And right now he is considered day to day. Previously it was week to week. We're making good progress. I mean, Derek Carr likely could get back on the field this season, maybe even this week. But as we all know, he is not going on IR. And Derek Carr actually spoke about that with Darren Rizzi. They've met a handful of times, and he said, I'm really pissed off and I'm frustrated that the reports out there are saying that I'm not coming back and that I should go on IR because he wants to return. And that right there, to me, shows not only is Derek Carr committed to this football team, sure, maybe that's not enough for a reason to keep him around long term, but at least he's going out there and trying to play. At least he's making an effort. At least he wants to get it back on the field. Like, that in itself is valuable to me, but I do think when it comes down to it, the smarter decision is to not bring Derek Carr back this week. Maybe again against the Raiders in Week 17, similar to Alvin Kamara. Like, they're a bad team. They're probably not going to beat you up too much. And, for the idea of having something to play for, the revenge game against the Raiders, like, sure, I think that would be a lot of, at least have a lot of juice and have a lot of hype around it. But Darren Rizzi also shared this about Derek Carr, saying that if the organization was concerned about that, this is referring to the injury settlement in his contract, where if Derek Carr gets hurt and he is unable to play, as of right now, he is automatically owed $10 million whenever the new league year starts. If this injury settlement happens and he cannot pass a physical by mid-March, then he automatically is owed a $30 million guaranteed on top of that. So a grand total of $40 million. Darren Rizzi saying that if the organization was concerned about that, the easy thing would be to shelve him on injured reserve. The fact that he is not on IR answers all of those questions, in my opinion. So do not expect Derek Carr to just sit around and not play this year. He wants to get back on the field. And although I think that it would be a smarter idea to put Spencer Rattler out on there, again, when you're Darren Rizzi, when you're the New Orleans Saints, you got to be playing for something here. You have to find some sort of juice. You have to find out a lot about these players. And I do think that Darren Rizzi giving Spencer Rattler the start is a good idea. Like, right now, as it stands, the Saints Twitter account, they posted about it. They announced it. Spencer Rattler is the starting quarterback this week. Darren Rizzi did add some clarification with media availability, saying if Derek Carr can't go, Spencer Rattler will play. And I think that a lot of that is just kind of trying to keep some mystery about the game, try to keep a little bit of an edge on the Packers. And I think that that's the right thing to do again. But I just don't see Derek Carr coming back. The door's not closed. It could happen. I just don't think it will happen. I think that the best situation for the New Orleans Saints, personal opinion, you start Rattler all three of these final games. However, I do believe that Derek Carr should play if he can. Like, he's your starting quarterback. He's making a lot of money. I mean, you got to put your QB1 on the field if he's available to go. Again, I don't think that that's the right plan. I think that you got to put Spencer Rattler out there. What's the point of not trying to see what you have in a real moment, in a real game, under the lights, in prime time, against a quality opponent? Like, this is a good chance to learn a lot about some of these players. And, this is really telling to me that Darren Rizzi said he didn't see a single ounce of panic in Spencer Rattler. Like, I do think that he's grown a lot. I think that he's matured and developed exponentially since we saw him take over for Derek Carr when he was out with the oblique injury in weeks 6 through 8. Like, I'm not asking to see the world of Spencer Rattler. I'm not asking to see him throw for 400 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 1 interception. No, I don't need that. I need to see 180 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. I think it's a damn good day. Because at the end of the day, I just want to see growth. I want to see a little bit of growth, a little bit of development. I want to see him continue to grow and improve a little bit every week. There's that old adage, there's that old rule, try to get 1% better every single day. Can we do that every week? Can we get a little bit better every week as a rookie? Because if you can, and if he shows that, God forbid, if he wins this game, you start feeling pretty good about Spencer Rattler and Darren Rizzi. But, again, I'm not asking for him to go and steal a win. I'm asking for him to just show improvement. But I want to ask you this question because I do think that there is some debate here. Will Derek Carr play another snap? Just give me a yes or no. Personally, I think he will. I don't think he should. That's my take. That's my final thoughts. So it's your turn to get down in the comment section. Saints fans, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. And as always, y'all stay golden. We'll see you next time.